Good morning, one and all. Today I am discussing about stresses in soil, Model 2, Lecture Series 1 of Applied Geotechnical Engineering 18 CV 62 for 6th semester PE Civil Engineering students. Today's our discussion is Introduction, Poisonous Theory, Westergaard's Theory. Introduction. Stress distribution in soil is depending on, that means, so if I take this as a footing and if I take this as a column, the load transferred from column to footing and footing to the soil, it transfers in a isobar type. So the stress, a line joining point of equal stress is called as an isobar. The stress distribution in soil depending on nature of the loading. That means whether we are applying a vertical load, whether we are applying a horizontal load, whether we are applying a inclined load, so or whether we are applying a static load, whether we are applying a dynamic load, or whether we are applying a vibratory load, so that play a vital role in stress distribution in the soil. Second one is shape of the loaded area. So whether the footing is circular, the stress distribution pattern is different. Whether the footing is rectangular, the stress distribution pattern is different. Whether the load distribution is square, the stress distribution pattern is different. For example, if I have a compound, so then it is a strip type of load distribution, then the stress distribution pattern will be different because the width get reduces. So the shape of the loaded area will decide how the stress will distribute onto the ground. Next is load distribution. Whether the load is a uniformly distributed load or whether the load is uniformly varying load or whether the load is pointed load. So whether the load is combined with couple, whether the load is mixed with moment, these load distribution combination play a vital role. So in assessing the stress distribution in the soil. So next is the manner of load placement. Whether load is placed gradually, whether the load is placed suddenly. Suppose if you see the bridge pier, so there is abutment to the piers, there is a gap that is called shock absorbing zone. When a vehicle apply a brake, the load will be transferred into a slow motion into the pier. So pier bearings will be there, that will take that shock and normal load is transferred onto the pier. Suppose if that concept was not there, like in your old bridges, masonry bridges, etc., then load distribution makes the crack on the surface of the interface between the deck slab and the pier. So if you are applying a load all of a sudden, so then the vibration effect will come into picture, then that will have different stress distribution pattern. Same load if you are applying slowly, then that stress distribution pattern will be different. So this is about your stress distribution with respect to point number 1. Point number 2, physical parameters or properties of the soil. What are physical properties of the soil which governs the load distribution means or stress distribution means? One is modulus of elasticity. Modulus of elasticity is also called as Young's modulus or modulus of rigidity. So which is equal to stress by strain. Whatever the load by cross-sectional area that we are applying on the footing, because of that change in dimension to the original dimension that we are calculating, that will give the elasticity, and that is represented as ES. The modulus of elasticity depends on different types of material. For soil, the E value is different, concrete E value is different, or in one word I can say rigid foundation E value is different and flexible foundation E value is different. So that will play a vital role in stress distribution. Next, Poisson's ratio. So mu. So Poisson's ratio will also varying from 0.5 to 0.9. So for some of the soils it may be 0.5, or for some soil it may be extreme case 0.9. So that also play a vital role. Next is the compressibility. Compressibility means on application of load the soil get compresses, and that behavior is called as a compressibility of the soil. The compressibility behavior of the soil will also play a vital role. If a soil is highly compressible, stress distribution will be less because it acts as a cushion effect. If the soil is less compressible, then the stress distribution is to a wider area because it acts as a elastic EI constant material, that is a rigid material. Next is stratification. If you have a stratified soil deposit like Indo-Gangetic region soil, Brahmaputra region soil, or Central India region soil deposits, where a layer by layer deposition of a clay will be one layer, silt will be another layer, sand will be another layer, again clay will be or silt will be next layer. That means to say the modulus of elasticity, Poisson's ratio, and the stress history of the soil will be different from one layer to another layer. When it is different from one layer to another layer, then the stress distribution, stress observing capacity, stress transferring capacity will also differ from one layer to another layer. These are all the factors we have to consider in calculation of stress distribution in the soil. So many scientists have come forward to explain the stress distribution theory. Some of the theories as worldwide accepted. Among them, important theories are Boson's stress distribution theory. Number 2, Westergaard's stress distribution theory. Number 3, Bench-Husson's stress distribution theory. Number 4, Meyerhoff's stress distribution theory. Number 5, I.S. Codal provision method of stress distribution theory. Among these theories, the first theory which has accepted worldwide is Boson's stress distribution theory. So the Boson's is a name of a scientist. He has done lot of research work, analytical and practical, to assess the stress behavior of the soil and application of the stress. And he put forward an equation, and in that equation, if you want to use it, some assumptions you have to do it. All these are empirical equations. The assumptions are soil mass is elastic. So in reality, no soil is elastic. That means if you stretch the soil, it has to come back. No, it is not possible. It is not elastic. He assumes that soil mass is elastic. Second assumption, that soil mass is homogeneous. Homogeneous means identical properties of the soil in all the direction is called homogeneity. So, but in reality, no soil is homogeneous. So, identical property will not come into picture for the soil, because soil is combination of silt, clay, sand. You won't get a pure clay, you won't get a pure silt, you won't get a pure sand. There will be some isomorphic substitution of sand with clay, clay with silt, silt with sand. But Bosonus has assumed that soil is homogeneous. This assumption. Isotropic. What is meant by isotropic? Isotropic means soil will have identical properties in all the directions is called as isotropic. In reality, the soil at A point is different, properties are different. At 10 centimeter from A, or to consider one more point as a B, that properties are different. Okay. So next is semi-infinite. What is meant by semi-infinite? So infinite means the soil properties will vary up to the infinity, but for all practical purpose and analytical purpose, they assume that it is semi-infinite. And next assumption Bosonus has done, soil is weightless. Weightless means it is not at all having any self weight, but if you go to moon, then only soil will be weightless. In earth, soil is having its weight because of the gravitational force and because of the density of the soil. But Bosonus has assumed that it is weightless. That again is one of the assumption. Okay. So next is soil is unstressed earlier. Unstressed earlier means in the history of that soil, it has not subjected to a pressure which is equal to or greater than the existing proposed or existing pressure is called as unstressed earlier. Therefore, it is having a rich in void ratio. So, last assumption is said that load application is a vertical pointed load. Always it is not possible to expect load should be vertical or load should be pointed, because if you are constructing a plinth beam, below the plinth beam, if the soil is there, is in contact with the bottom of the plinth beam, then it is a uniformly distributed load. You cannot possible to expect a pointed load. But he assumes that if you want to use this equation, you have to assume it as a pointed load and it is vertical. With this assumption, he has put forward one equation. That equation is based on this sketch. That means when a load Q in kilonewton is acting on the surface of the soil at a depth Z below the ground level, if I want to calculate sigma Z, that is stress at point Z, or if I want to calculate some radial distance away from the load application point, sigma Z, then Bosonus in the year 1885 has put forward an equation. That equation is sigma Z is equal to Q by Z square into 3 by 2 pi divided by 1 plus R by Z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. So where Q is applied load in kilonewton, Z is depth at which sigma Z is to be calculated, R is the radial distance. If you are calculating exactly at the below the applied load, your R value will be 0. Before going to that, let us understand one more constant, that is the modification of this equation, that is 3 by 2 pi divided by 1 plus R by Z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2 is called as Bosonus influence factor, which is called it as IB. So the equation 1 can also be written as sigma Z is equal to Q by Z square into IB, where IB is Bosonus influence factor. Now, exactly below the loaded area, your R value will be 0. R value will be 0 means R by Z value will be 0 in the equation. Sigma Z is equal to Q by Z square divided by Q by Z square into 3 by 2 pi divided by 1 plus R by Z whole to the power of 5 by 2. So where if you substitute r by z is equal to 0, that is in this equation if you substitute r by z is equal to 0, your equation sigma z will be q by z square into 3 by 2 pi, because this is 1. So if you simplify 3 by 2 pi, you will get some value. That some value is 0.477. So multiplied by q by z square. So this is the modified equation of Bosonus, where r by z is equal to 0. Have you understood? Fine. Next. Now we will discuss about vertical stress distribution on horizontal plane. Let Q is the load which is acting on the surface. At a depth z, we want to find out the sigma z at various r by z value. That is r by z is equal to 0.2, r by z is equal to 0.4, r by z is equal to 0.6, r by z is equal to 0.8, r1. So if you use the equation, Bosonus equation, sigma z is equal to q by z square into 3 by 2 pi divided by 1 plus r by z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. In that equation, r by z, if you substitute it 0.2, if you substitute 0, it is 0.477 q by z square. If you substitute it 0.2, you will get one value. Take this as a datum. 0.44, you mark this one. 0.2, you mark this one. 0.4, you mark. 0.6, you mark. 0.8 r1, you will get this curve. Similarly, on the other right hand side also you mark it, you will get a bulb shape at the center, and it is parallel to the datum line at the edges, and this is called as a vertical stress distribution on a horizontal plane. Similarly, if I want to calculate how the vertical stress distribution has taken place in a vertical plane, let Q be the load which is acting at a distance r is equal to 1 meter. Then, so if you substitute r is equal to 1, r by z, z is, you vary it, 0.2, one value will get it, 0.4, one value, 0.6, one value, 0.8, one value. Likewise, if you keep on substituting it, 1, 1.2, 1.4, etc. At a depth of 1.225 meter, your sigma z value will be maximum. Beyond 1.225 meter, sigma z value will get reduces. So this depth is called as a significant depth. So we can say that z will be 1.225 meter will be the significant depth for pointed load. Coming to the Westergaard's stress distribution theory. So after Bosonus, Westergaard has proposed a theory to examine and to give a solution to the closely spaced layer by layer deposits. As Bosonus assumed that it is a homogeneous soil, he has assumed that it is a heterogeneous by layer formation, and apart from that he also assumed that it is an elastic soil, semi-infinite, and load is pointed load. So according to him, sigma z is q by z square into 1 by pi divided by 1 plus 2 into r by z whole square whole to the power 3 by 2. What is the difference between Bosonus and Westergaard equation? In the Bosonus equation, q by z square into 3 by 2 pi, whereas Westergaard is 1 by pi. That entire thing divided by 1 plus r by z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2 is your Bosonus equation. Westergaard is 1 plus 2 into r by z whole square whole to the power 3 by 2. So if you take out 1 over pi divided by 1 plus 2 into r by z whole square whole to the power 3 by 2 as a constant, then it is called as a sigma z will be q by z square into IW, where IW is called as what? Westergaard's influence factor. So IW is stands for Westergaard's influence factor. So now let us say if exactly below the loaded area, what happens? Exactly below the loaded area means your r value should be 0. R by z, it is infinity, you can treat it as 0. So now if substitute in this equation q by z square, this term vanishes, 1 over pi. 1 over pi, if you solve it, it is 0.322. Therefore, sigma z is equal to 0.32 into q by z square. Okay. So now let us have a comparison between Bosonus and Westergaard's theory. Bosonus theory, the soil is homogeneous. Westergaard's theory, the soil is layer by layer deposit. In the Bosonus theory, so it is a semi-infinite and elastic. In the Westergaard theory, it is elastic. In the Bosonus theory, the equation is sigma z is equal to q by z square into 3 by 2 pi divided by 1 plus r by z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. Whereas in Westergaard's theory, sigma z is equal to q by z square into 1 over pi divided by 1 plus 2 into r by z whole square whole to the power 3 by 2. So now when r is equal to 0, Bosonus theory, the sigma z value in terms of q and z is 0.48 q by z square. Whereas in the Westergaard's theory, when r is equal to 0, then sigma z is q by z square into IW, where so your point IW is 0.32 q by z square. So what you conclude from this comparison? The conclusion we can draw here is Bosonus theory is having a higher stress carrying capacity than Westergaard's theory by 0.48 minus 0.32 divided by 0.32 into 100. If you do some percentage, you will get it. That much percent higher stress carrying capacity is having a Bosonus theory. Hence, in practice, we can say that Bosonus analysis is widely used as it is giving conservative value, because when we say the stress on the soil is 20 kilonewton per meter square in one theory, another theory the stress on the soil is 25 kilonewton per meter square means, so for 25 kilonewton per meter square we are going to design the foundation, so that obviously it will take care of the 20 kilonewton per meter square load. Hence, so the Bosonus theory is having a higher edge over Westergaard's theory. That's the reason Bosonus theory is used for most of the stress distribution analysis. Coming to the multiple choice questions. Question number 1. The stress distribution in soil is depending on nature of the loading, shape of the loaded area, load distribution and manner of the load placement. So it is not only depending on this parameter, it is also depending on the soil property. Therefore the answer is false. B. The stress distribution in soil depends only on the nature of the loading. No, it is B. False. The stress distribution, next question, the stress distribution in soil depends only on load distribution. Option A is true, option B is false. Here option B is false. Next question, the stress distribution soil is depending only on the manner of load placement. Option A is true, option B is false. It is false. It is not only depending on the manner of the load application, so it is a stress history of the soil also. The stress distribution in soil depending only on the shape of the loaded area. Option A is true, option B is false. No, it is not only depending on the shape of the area. Shape of the area is one of the parameters. Therefore, option B. Next. The stress distribution in soil depending on physical properties of the soil like modulus of elasticity, Poisson's ratio, compressibility, stratification. It is not only depending on this one, it also depending on other parameters. Therefore, it is B. False. Then Bosonus equation is given by formula sigma z is q by z square 3 by 2 pi 1 plus r by z whole square whole to the power 3 by 2. It is wrong because it is power 5 by 2. So it is false. B. Next, eighth one. Bosonus equation is given by sigma z is q by z square into 3 by 2 pi divided 1 plus r by z whole r by z into 2 whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. So that is correct answer. That is option A. Bosner's equation is sigma z is 0.32 into q by z square. No, it is false. It is B. The Westergaard's equation is 0.477 q by z square. It is wrong. It is 0.32 q by z square. Therefore, it is option is B. So, in order to prepare this material, I taken this as a list of the references and textbooks for preparation of this material. I take this opportunity to thank Department of Collegiate and Technical Education, all higher officers, for giving me an opportunity to deliver this lecture as a content developer cum moderator. I also take this opportunity to thank the students for listening my lecture patiently, and I request all the students, those who those are studying in 6th semester across the Karnataka in all government engineering colleges. So please go through the videos, study materials, MCQ, multiple choice question, PowerPoint presentations, which are uploaded in the Karnataka LMS portal, and also practice the multiple choice questions. If you have any doubt or any clarification is to be needed regarding this particular today's topic, you can ask in the next class. Thank you students for attending the class. Thank you very much.